Hello and welcome to EvilGinger Miniatures, where I will be talking to you today in my usual EvilGinger Tuesday, though this will be going out on Wednesday. It's being recorded on Tuesday, which I mostly decided to take as a day off because I have been in the accounts trenches all weekend, and though the accounts are done, I need to file them at this point I'm recording this. So I needed a bit of R&R, and I had it thanks to some lovely friends who I met down Geek Retreat in Burton-on-Trent for a bit of dagger heart action, where once again we nearly died, and we dive deeper and deeper into a mystery that we don't understand, and people are messing about with the cosmology and all sorts of stuff. This, by the way, is the second time I recorded this, because the first time I'd managed to put, when I was moving things around in here, plug the microphone into the headphone jack, and it recorded jack all as a result. So after several tests and working out what the hell was going on, I'm hoping this is recording. If it's not recording, I'm going to go slightly postal, because I have already gone nearly postal due to spending my time playing spreadsheet games all weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and yes, I am bitter. Very. So, getting back to wargaming and away from the fun of being a small business owner and operator and the expense of being a micro business operator if you get other people to do anything, we'll get onto the main subject of the thing, which is EvilGinger related stuff. First of all, there is a crowdfunder going on for Tools for Heroes, which is a very legitimate charity who are raising some money for kits and equipment to build kits for people who need that sort of thing therapeutically. And speaking as someone who actually whose modelling is a therapy, and it has got me out of some pretty severe mental health issues over the years, which is why it was so shocking last year when I couldn't do anything for about 6-8 months. Because normally I sat and did my own stuff because it didn't matter. There was no strain, no stress, no nothing. And the stress and the angst and everything flowed away because I was in the moment, and the moment was very, very sort of meditative even. And I've already put money into this funder. I would suggest that you reach into your little pockets and find your small change and do the same. It's an extraordinarily good cause, and I will keep bugging you with it until it's over, which is, I believe, another 12 days. I have got a thing going out on my Facebook page, and I will link it down below when I have done this, while I'm setting everything up, because unfortunately all the details are on my laptop and haven't yet networked everything together, so I can actually just copy them across from Facebook. And I'm a bit wary of things, because if you log in on one machine, they tend to log you out on another, and mostly everything works off there for the moment. This is a specialist kit that I shouldn't have to run all the time. Anyway, enough of that, and we'll get onto the main meat of this, which is I went to Crisis this year. I had a great time at Crisis, despite various efforts to make it horrible. The people who made it great fun, the May 40 auxiliaries, who run the all-day bolt action game, and the and Sander and his good lady who run the stand just behind them, and gave me a little present. And the little present was this. You may have seen pictures of it because I've taken photographs of this. And it's a bag, and it doesn't look very interesting. In fact, it looks the least interesting thing I bought back from Crisis. It is absolutely and utterly the opposite thing. This is the KNLI Kickstarter, or the inventory for it. I don't know whether it's all of it. I've got some invoices on the other machine that I need to check the tally numbers across. Having done this twice, because the microphone was plugged into the wrong thing. I am aware that I have a suspicion that this might not be all of it, because I made a initial Kickstarter and then I did a note on the back of kit, and I've done a recent one because the backer is still open and they're still selling it at Kickstarter prices, so it gets a good start. It might be closing sometime soon. I also need some Japanese to go with this, and I am rather looking forward to Warlord's new release Japanese. Their old release Japanese did the function, but they were okay models. That was pretty much it. And I'm looking for something that is as nice as this to shoot at. We're doing lots of painting and modelling of Japanese stuff, and of course there are other vehicles to come off this. There are my Johnson automatic rifle arm troops, who will be my green arm police unit, and there's probably a few more of these that I need to get to make this into a proper structured half company, probably with a backup of guys with Lewis gun squads. But again, I need to go through everything and make sure it's all here. But I'll show you what I've got now, and lighting hopefully won't wash out. Opening the bag, drawing one at random. Now I need my glasses to read the title, so apologies for glasses. This is, catch the light right, a machine gun team. Main function of that is to be able to use Lewis gun team, is to give dual function to Lewis guns. Lewis gun equipped section, so you can swap the gun out for the other one. But they're absolutely excellent little sculpts, and the variety of pose is exactly what you want in a largely skirmish war game. Remind me, my glasses are on my head, by the way, because I will be looking for them otherwise at some point. That's the Marsden with its little, get the damn thing in the right lighting conditions. I'm still playing with lighting, by the way, but that's an exquisite sculpt, and there'll be photographs of all of these. And there's the loader. It's carbine. I think it's carbine. It might be a rifle. I will have to check with Sander, and Sander will be posting a great big correction to what Simon got wrong, and what Simon got wrong will be in the down below as well. I'll pin that as well, so you know what everything. This is INT 31, which is just a machine gun team. Next one out of the bag, literally, is this. So this is a whole infantry section, Info 4, and I'll open this and tip it out on the table. Again, I would like to have a camera so I could show you it out on the table, but it's ten models and a section commander, so that will be 15 and 9 models and a section commander. I thought they were bigger, but basically this guy's carrying the saber, the very distinctive saber machete, which I've seen in real life and are quite impressive. They look like cutlasses again because of the basket hilt on them. And he's a section leader, and we've got the machine gun again, and we'll have a loader in here somewhere and some riflemen. I'd have to double check the Lardy's force things, but I don't have the Far East book to hand. I might have to buy another one to summon out the other one from where it's hiding. But again, nice mouldings. Again, suffer from the usual problems with metal, which they bend, but I'll can straighten that out before I paint it. And they're with and without bayonets. And there's your machine gunner advancing. Again, I need to fiddle with the lighting in here. That's a nice mix of troops, 10 models in a section. I think the sections were 12s, but I've got enough. I should have enough spare riflemen just to make those up, if that's all you do. Another infantry section. Again, this is Info 06. Again, we've got some really nice poses like this guy fitting a bayonet. Lying down firing, probably over a log or something like that. Kneeling machine gunner. And Marsden loader. Again, very nice models. A little bit of flash on the base, but that's what you'd expect from metal models, and is easily cleaned up. Oh, and this is an NCO with one of the rare submachine guns, one of the MP28 style ones. Again, a little bit straightening up. These have, by the way, been packed in this bag, dragged all the way back from Belgium via Eurostar, and in a suitcase, and they have been taken out, looked at twice now, and while I filmed the silent version of this, because as I say, I might just plug things in right. Another infantry section, different infantry section 02. The same 10 figures, which is the classic universal bolt action one, but as I say, I think TFO allow you a little more. But again, nice variety of pros of riflemen. They've all got those sabres scabbarded. Commander, again, flashing his sabre and cradling his rifle. But lovely selection of pose. I went mostly for guys in helmets because I think that's realistic. Certainly, if someone was shooting at me, I'd want body armour and a helmet, and if helmet's all I've got, helmet I would wear there. But for character, and because the hats that the KNI wore are iconic, there are also going to be a few of those, and it's a good way of distinguishing commanders from the rest of their unit, the rest of their section. Now this one is a freebie, because there were some free models that went with it. This guy is a pair, which is a Marsden gunner in high angle fire, and then his loader, poor bugger, underneath that. I've got to work out exactly how that links up, but that's going to make a good base, good group base, and that was free with a Kickstarter. I do hope they're for sale because they're rather cool, and you should be able to get cool stuff off Kickstarter. I'm not a fan of Kickstarters where they're exclusives, because why should everybody share the good stuff? Another command section in hats. Again, if you're doing something like chain of command, it helps to know who your commanders are. So swapping out the helmeted commanders with the hatted ones will allow you to work out what they're doing, what you're doing more. But a couple of possibly, and again, the hats they wore weren't like slouch hats. They were much stiffer than the Australian British style. I believe they were woven out of bamboo fibre, but I expect to be corrected on that by Sander if I'm wrong. They're also very bright green, all of them. The hats possibly less than the uniform, but think 1980s orc for the sort of colours, very chemical looking colours. This I didn't know, and I painted my original 5 test models in a much more subdued colour scheme. I saw Sander's, and the ones that Sander showed off online had been fiddled about with digitally to make and weren't actually as bright as they turn out to be, as they should be. Again, another Commando 2. This lot are in helmets, but very similar, sort of a different again, these are platoon command groups, I would say. Infantry, let's say, so you've got, let's go back to this while I've got time. Infantry O2, again, a couple of riflemen, and possibly an MP, possibly the platoon NCO with a submachine gun. Again, submachine guns were built on the rare side in most armies in the early part of the war, but after 1940, the Dutch, the KNI got whatever they could get hold of, and they got hold of mostly MP28s, but they also got hold of Thompsons with the round drum and that sort of thing from as many places as they could. They were very much like the Ukraine of the time in that they got whatever everybody would give them, and they had lots of varied equipment, which is the other thing I like about them. Again, the mass issuing of semi-automatic rifles was unusual at a point when I don't think the Americans had the Garand out, and where they were still using Springfields quite a lot. Again, Springfield is a bolt-action rifle. The Garand is a semi-automatic. The Johnson rifle, which was a competitor with the Garand, I believe, is also a semi-automatic rifle, and if used properly would give firepower advantages, but I'm not sure whether it did. Indeed, the unit I'm portraying with it is a motorised police unit, armed police unit, so they're probably not the best of troops on the military centre board, because they were obviously they weren't trained as infantry. They were trained as sort of against, to deal with insurrections and things like that, which were not uncommon in the interwar Dutch East Indies. This is the standard infantry squad again. This is Inf 12. We're in helmets. Again, I went for mostly helmeted figures on the grounds of realism, but there are equivalent poses, all of these in hats, and again, hats make good ways of pointing out commanders. Some nice poses of riflemen. Guy on the floor with the Marsden, but it's saber magazine. Selection of riflemen. Loader on the floor. Again, I'm sorry it's a bit lodged out. I'm still working on the lighting for this. Little pile of stuff, which I believe is for the Marsden to rest on. Because bipods are really, really faffing difficult. And then you have the section commander with a submachine gun. Again, some of them had submachine guns, some of them had rifles, some of them had carbines. There was all sorts of kit floating around. It's one of the reasons I've come to love these figures. Again, these are all going back in the bag. I'll do individual photoshops of each of the packs in the workshop, and they'll be going up on the Facebook page in due course. Another infantry commander, again in hats. This time in hats, with lots of people waving quangs about. They're quite actually effective if you wave them about. They were good for customer control at Crisis, where Zander had a proper one. Unfortunately, because it was a show and I'm an reenactor, I was a bit thwarted because I wanted to swing it round, because that's how you play with toys like that. I didn't want to scare anybody. Again, people in hats allow commanders. Another command section, again in helmets. Rifle armed officer unit with a guy with a submachine gun. You might have seen these poses before. He's got a good variety of pose, and repeats are a little on the rare side, which is extraordinarily cool. Another freebie. Not entirely sure what that freebie is, but it's a guy, possibly a signaller, and his mate, so I shall have to find out who they are from Young Sander, and I'll post it for you in the down below, or a link to the Facebook page where I'll be doing individual photographs. Again, Not a part of the world I was at all interested in, but between this range and Too Fat Lardy's Eastern Volume 1 of their East Asia compendium, I'm waiting for Volume 2, which is the American island hopping. Less interested in that, but it would be nice to see how they model that. TFL, I think, are much more fun as a thinking game than Bolt Action. Bolt Action is great fun, and I saw a great deal of Third Ed, but it's again less of a thinking person's game and more of a, in a non-offensive way, beer and pretzels game, with a load of bolted-on competition gaming stuff. And I have issues with competition gamers. Not individually, but collectively, they do tend to suck the fun out of games, and there are particularly competition gamers who really do suck the fun out of things. Nice hot coffee this time, as opposed to last time where I was drinking cold coffee. Yeah, because I've been faffing setting up, obviously not setting up. And this is the last of this, which, see, last of it, which is another infantry squad. Again, he says this is infantry squad 10. Mostly the infantry squads are distinguished by the pose of the machine gunners. In this case, this guy's a Lewis gunner, which was the other machine gun that the Dutch used, mostly in Europe, but also in the East Indies. And this guy is marching. This is the sort of guy that I would use to replace with the individual crew, the Marsden crews, if I wanted to swap around. I'm sure this isn't all of my order. I'm sure there's more of it, but I need to set that out. Again, very little flash apart from on the bottom, where you will get flash because they're bottom fill models. But I shall enjoy painting these. They shall be great fun. And again, a good mix. And section commander with a carbine, rifle, bayonet not fixed. Again, and the loader for the Lewis gun. Again, those will be swapped out so I could get Marsden armed and Lewis gun armed groups in the game. And it's easier to change from one section to another if you're just swapping out the light machine gun. I'm hoping that light machine guns are actually worth something Bolt Action, because I like historical organised units, and all of the historical organised units had a light machine gun. Well, most of them did, and I like them as more as they were than as the game meta. I'm repacking all of these, hopefully gently, because at some point, probably in a couple of days, these will be going on my Facebook page, EvilGinger Miniatures, and on the painting group, EvilGinger Miniatures Painting, where you'll be more than welcome to comment on them and say your piece. There are some vehicles to come with these. There are also a whole platoon of guys armed with Johnson automatic rifles to come, which I've only just ordered, and I need to double check that that is all of the Kickstarter stuff, because as I say, I did it it was done in the initial Kickstarter and then a backer kit add-on, because I have a tendency not to have any money when I do the original Kickstarter, so I'll put a placeholder and then I'll expand it on the other one. But I'll have a look through the invoices that I've got from Sandow on there and work out if that's everything. If it's not everything, I'll be showing you all again when the Kickstarter stuff arrives, along with the vehicles, because the vehicles are quite impressive. As after war was declared, the counter got a grab bag of all of the available tanks and a lot of the unavailable light armoured vehicles, and they built a load of their own. The Brat and the other one. I've got some 3D printed other ones because I don't think Sanders got those on the initial production, and I want my police unit in them. I'm also getting some odds and sods 3D printed, and I've got a load of terrain in flat pack still that I need to build. to go with. So that was the main good thing about Crisis, was that I picked all of that stuff up. Apparently, I'm the second person in the world to have got those, and all the models that you saw are test casts from the production molds, just to make sure that they're all working. The big moulding thing is yet to come, and the main reason of the Kickstarter was to make production molds of things and to get things sculpted. All of the vehicles are resin cast, I believe, but a lot of the designs were 3D printed to do the master for the model. Hopefully, next up is me doing some more on more European Dutch stuff, and prodding Sander into doing a European Belgian force, because again, I'm a Belgian. I'm a Belgian player, and I have a load of 20mm, and I would like to replicate that in 28. And the sort of quality that Sander does, it would inspire me, and I will definitely be prodding him and packing him for any Kickstarter or any organisation. He's a little bit burnt out on Kickstarters at the moment, because this one has taken rather longer than he thought it was going to, and poor man is stressed. And Kickstarter is a tiny bit of a swear word in his vicinity at the moment, but hopefully we'll get another good range out of it, and I'll be able to do 2 variations on my little Canal Defence game, which I'm planning probably for the next Crisis, depending on whether or not I can actually get stuff across the channel, because it's got a lot harder since Brexit, and UK demonstrators and suppliers used to be a big thing at Crisis, and now they're not, thanks to the red tape that decision caused rather than got rid of. So there might be faff about that, and it might take a little longer than next year to organise it. I've also got an interview with Sander coming up, where I will be talking to him about the whole May 40 thing and what his plans are and whatever have you. And I encourage you to back him. He's got some of the nicest early war Fallschirmjäger I've ever seen. I acquired another pack of them in the goodie bag, and I'm obviously going to be building them, because there's a certain fortress in Belgium that they were very important in taking out, which could have caused all sorts of ructions and trouble in the way that Liège did in the First War. Probably would have fallen eventually, but yeah, it would have made the Blitzkrieg a little less blitzy, shall we say. He's also got some very nice SS, if you're into that sort of thing, really early SS, when they were more a load of paramilitary thugs than military, and they would be perfect for being beaten over by regular Polish troops in 39, and they would also be perfectly for being shot at by regular Danes and Dutch and Belgians, because, as I say, I don't approve of the SS as an organisation, and I'm not one of these people that love them, but they're nice casts, and they were there, and therefore representation is a thing. Other things I will be doing is I will be doing more of those when they come out on production, and they will be going up on the Etsy shop, sections and platoons, mostly with Chain of Command in mind, but you can quite happily use them for bolt action. They'll be based the same on the bolt action style basis, probably for War Games Atlantic, because they're a little bit cheaper than the Warlord ones directly, and Warlord have started packaging their bases, I believe, as mix packs, so you get cavalry bases you don't necessarily need, you get bigger bases that you don't necessarily need if you're just basing infantry. Again, the Etsy shop will be changing in order to reflect the fact that I need to sell about 50 quid's worth of goods in order to make a noticeable to make a profit. And until the whole tariff thing sorts out, unfortunately, I won't be sending to the USA. We'll be sending to Canada and Mexico. And it's to be remembered that the post on the Etsy shop isn't per figure. If I charge you 20 quid to post something over to, say, the States, well, over to America, the non-US America, I'm charging you that for as many figures as you want sending. That's the price of the package. I can send 2 or 3 kilos worth of figures. I can send a couple of kilos worth of figures for that, and that's an awful lot of figures, especially if they're plastic. Plastic figures don't weigh an awful lot. Metal figures obviously do weigh a bit more, but you're still talking about a couple of platoons before I start breaking the small package weight limit. So, and again, if I'm sending things to the EU or even in the UK, it's per parcel. So the more you buy, the less the postage costs proportionately, as you're highly likely to be able to get a lot of bang for your buck. But I like sending stuff insured and tracked because I don't trust the postal service. I don't trust couriers, and I've rarely had anything get through to people that has been broken. Remember, this stuff is painted, it's quite delicate, painted and assembled, and it can be quite delicate. We're starting the World War II stuff with some armoured groups, which I'll be using Blitzkrieg for. Blitzkrieg and bayonets and brushes for 3D printed stuff. Again, they're equivalently really nice stuff. I've done 20mm. I should be getting some 28 from them. And they will be on display. I think I may have disturbed some dust. So, in the office, tidying up. As I say, I also need to hoover in here properly, and it hasn't been done for a few days. And Wargames models gather dust like nobody's business, which is why mine are all in plastic boxes, because it's easier to wipe the tops of those than it is dust individuals. Anyway, I think that's me done for now. Hopefully the sound has worked on this one, and that you have had nearly 35 minutes of me shunting away. But remember, models for heroes, which will be appearing in the down below, and like, share, and subscribe, because my lovely soundman, who hasn't been in, sorry, lovely editor, soundman, Perrin, I think, struck there, wants to be more involved and will make this a lot better channel, but I want to pay him because I feel really guilty about taking advantage of people. Terrible when ethics gets in the way of your business, isn't it? Anyway, with that thought, I will leave you and take care, everybody. Goodbye.